Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. Let's go straight to the front pages of the papers. We do have joining us, publisher, the niche newspaper. Ikechukwu Amaechi joins us this morning. Well, I can tell that from the look of your face, you are possibly, settled with the story that I'm sure would make the headlines. Looking at the fact that Chief, you know where I'm going to. Farotimi has been pardoned. A lot of people are already talking. But let's shoot the papers. Let's see where we're starting from. Let's start off with the leadership this morning and see what the front pages are saying so the audience can also follow through. Let's start off with this one. Kaduna Governor defends negotiation with bandits. This story, different reactions to that story though. Declares it's better than losing lives. Says only victims' families will understand, not Nigerians. ACF, Arawa youths back Ubasani again. 7 farmers killed in Benue. 160 billion USSD debt. 5 banks rush to meet disconnection deadline. We also have court acts to stop sacking of CCT chair. PDP crisis. Southeast leaders reject meeting with NWC. And I'm just going to take one more. Nothing more on the front page of the leadership. Seems a bit quite
just empty. Something sports story.
Yeah, Super Eagles to battle Tunisia, Uganda, Tanzania in group stage.
Should qualify.
Not bad, not bad. Anyway, away from leadership, let's have the next paper right there on the screen. Benga.
Yes, the Punch newspaper. The headline is Afenifere can others oppose push for Sharia in Southwest, and the writer says regional focus should be on debt, not religion, says Yoruba group. Muslims and clerics defer. And there's also a national conference. Federal government restates commitment to better Nigeria. And we also have Farotimi Afenifere Obi Hill Afebobolola for withdrawing defamation suit, and Dangote refinery to receive 12 million barrels of U.S. crude. Interesting development there. And of course, at the header, we have PDP crisis uncertainty as National Working Committee members shun Southeast meeting. And a report from Budget says MDA spent 16 billion naira on Ester Code and compensations in 2 years. And of course, the story that we've been talking about here, Lagos Assembly plans to probe Obasa for fraud. Interesting headline there.
All right, Mr. Ikechukwu, let's take a look at the first story there. Let's start off with Lagos State. Let's look at Obasa. How did you see the turnout of events over the weekend where he granted a press conference and spoke tough, saying that he wasn't present and shouldn't have been, sanctioned or let go, removed. Let's use the word removed, not impeached, removed from being the speaker.
Did the removal follow due process? The answer is yes. So that the speakership is not for Obasa to keep. He's been elected for the 3rd term. Don't forget, he became a speaker in 2015. This is 2025. That makes it now 10 years. If he had lasted the whole of this tenure, he could have probably stayed there for 12 years, making him the longest serving speaker at least Lagos has ever had. So I think the guy had a fair share. In fact, I would say an unfair share of the largesse that has become politics, particularly in Lagos State, and particularly those who belong to the Bola Ahmed Tinubu camp. But so it is not his birthright, and that he's a lawmaker does not automatically translate. There are 40 members of that house, and all of them are equal, and all of them could be Speaker. After all, there's nothing special about Obasa that you can say, okay, these are the qualities that qualify him, and therefore it must be him that will keep that position as the Speaker. So there is nothing
exceptional,
special about him. So I don't know what the noise is all about. Somebody was Speaker before him. At least, I think he took over from Ikechukwu. Mamora was once a Speaker in this state. So let him go. He's gone, but let him go quietly. All this noise that he's making, I don't know where he's getting that temerity to make the noise. Some say that his impeachment was not sanctioned by the president, who, by the way, is still the godfather of Lagos politics. That was why after the impeachment, all of them had to go now to report to the godfather, this is what we have done, and explained why they did what they did. Obasa, I think, has also visited the president, and it is after he visited the president that he started talking tough about he's still the Speaker and all that. So nobody knows what the president told him, because that's about the only thing that can give him this level of audacity. But the truth of the matter is that 32 of the 40 members agreed to say enough is enough. Even if you return as Speaker tomorrow, how could you be Speaker over people who don't want you? It doesn't make sense. But you know, there's a lot of impunity in this country, in this so-called democracy, that nobody seems to abide by the tenets of democracy. If I were Obasa, I would go quietly. He has had a good run, 10 years. If he had stayed until about June, it would have been 10 years as the Speaker. Financially, he's far better off today than he was 10 years ago. So what else does he want? I'm not too sure he's in a position to do this ruffle fight. Because if he does, there are issues out there.
Talking about the issues, on the front page of the Punch, there's a section there that says Lagos to probe Obasa. Do you think this will happen, or the APC and will say, you know, it's a family issue, let's leave it out? Because by doing that, they will be exposing themselves, and we'll see a lot of skeletons in the cupboard and tanker worms.
They won't probe him. I think what they are trying to do is to blackmail him into going quietly, as he ought to. That they won't probe him does not mean that there are no issues. After all, members of that assembly made the allegations in the first place. I wrote a column last week after Obasa's impeachment, what next? And my own take is that since you guys alleged that he did so and so, and that he was almost going to ruin the assembly and the state, and that you did what you did to save not only the State House of Assembly and Lagos State, why don't you file petition to the EFCC and say, look, these are the allegations we have against this guy. He did so and so, and therefore we want him probed. They won't do that, because they know that even if push comes to shove and tomorrow Obasa is being probed, all of them, none of them there will go.
They'll be implicated.
There will be a lot of implications, so they won't go. And you know, Joe, you need to understand what is going on in Nigeria in the name of politics. It's all about money. It's all about money. And because there's no accountability, there's nothing. Nobody is held responsible there is no difference between private and public purse. So that even the money that comes to the State House of Assembly is shared the way it ought to be. There are so many stakeholders that are settled. I think part of the problem Obasa has is that he's beginning to neglect some of those shared formula. That is what got him into trouble. Not all this issue of about being overbearing. It is not today that he started being overbearing, and he started being overbearing because the man who calls all the shots in Lagos politics had his back. So, will they probe him? I don't think so. I think it is just sheer bluster. They want to tell him, look, don't go that route because if we want to deal with you, we can do it. I think he will quietly go and it will be business as usual. The person who is there now will continue from where Obasa stopped and everybody will go home smiling.
Talking of smiling, let's pick a call. We do have Fumi. Fumi is calling us from Lagos. Good morning, Fumi.
Good morning.
Welcome. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, my contribution is about this Obasa. I think the media also is overplaying this issue. I mean, they elected him, they removed him. If Obasa will be humble, I mean, he is not the first person to be removed. I think if I were in his shoes.
Hello, Fumi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead, please.
He has the Obasa record that if I were in his shoes, I will go quietly. What's the big difference? If I just one among equals, he was not suspended. Therefore, he should go back and represent the people of Agege that voted for him. I think it's a non-issue. And the typical APC Lagos matter, the storm in the pickup will soon be over. And I think that the assembly people too, they did it in a very cowardly manner. In other states, they will be seated there for them to make the allegations and remove. But whatever it is, I think the media should just downplay this. There are more serious issues in this nation than Obasa is elected and removed. He's not the first person to be removed.
Okay.
Thank you, Fumi.
Anyway, thank you so much, Fumi. I think we got your point. We did get her point there. But let's move on to another paper very quickly. If we have the Tribune, I'd like us to take a story there very, very quickly. The Nigerian Tribune. It says 30 million more Nigerians at risk of poverty this year. Salome's murder, gospel singer makes U-turn, pleads not guilty. Under 2025 budget, hefty allocation to lawmakers despite hardship. Edu declares Nigeria's electricity sector open for investment. And Arabia Shala's loyalists weigh 3 options after leaving APC. So there's a lot I'd like us to touch on. But I'm hoping you can touch on these, just 2 stories from here very quickly. Let's take Salome's murder. The alleged gospel and embattled gospel singer has been a U-turn in court saying he's not guilty. That's 1. 2, I'd like you to also touch on Ondo 2025 budget. Despite the fact that the headline screams that 13 million more Nigerians are at risk of poverty, we see lawmakers, taking a heavy package. We do have Trudy who's calling us as well. Let's take this call before I come to those 2 stories. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, Trudy, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to salute my brother in the studio, Mr. Amaechi. I listen very well. I have been following Obasa's case removal or impeachment very closely. Like the last said, I don't know why Africans generally, they don't really want to relinquish power. If it were to be somebody in the Western world, the person will quietly exit himself. without making a noise. It boils down to be, again, that Nigerian democracy is faulty. How could members of the House of Assembly, after doing their job, big duty, they will go to Abuja to report to Mr. President? You know, Wike is having problem with the governor. They are going to Abuja to report to Mr. President. I think in Nigeria democracy, is it what is obtainable outside the shores of Nigeria? The answer is no. So Nigerian democracy is faulty. That is the angle I want to pick my tent. And I think Mr. Basa, what I have had, he has many skeletons in his cupboard. They are talking about qualification, bribery, and so on and so on. Get to be a gentleman.
Okay. All right, Chidi, thank you so much. Thank you. All right, let's leave Obasa now. We appreciate your points. Let's go straight to lawmakers earning, hefty sums and
more Nigerians falling into the poverty
and all that.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, what exactly is there to talk about? It is the anomaly that we are seeing everywhere. From National Assembly, look, the politicians are simply doing their things. They don't care about the man on the street. Instead, they are bringing more policies that will impoverish the people while they are lining their pockets. Look at the convoys of the politicians, particularly those in the executive arm of government. Are they reducing? Are they not going for their medical trips abroad? Many of the governors now, they don't, in fact, all of them, they don't travel on commercial airlines. They do charter. There is one state governor that lives permanently in Abuja and has a private jet that is stationed at the airports, spends about 2 weeks in Abuja, flies to the state that he claims to be governing, spends a day to do one or two things, and flies back to Abuja. This is the level of impunity that is there. Atiku was lamenting yesterday that the Nigeria's democracy is diminishing, or that if Nigeria is not careful, that we will lose our democracy. But the question to sincerely ask, if we are trying to be honest to ourselves, is that, is this a democracy? Do we have, or the mere fact that people wearing agbada and not kake are there today, does that make it a democracy? What is the classical definition of democracy? A government of the people, by the people, for the people. To what extent do we have the people content in what we call democracy? Are the people,
after every 4 years, they go to the polls. Is that enough?
After every 4 years, but that is assuming that what the vote that people cast at the ballot every 4 years is a reflection of the announcements that are made in terms of who won and who did not win. You see that people are out there. In any case, even the last election, even the 4 years, we've seen our democracy degenerating to such a level that people will not tell you, if you're not going to vote for so and so political party, don't dare to come out on election day. And if you come out, you are brutalized, you are beaten, and all that. Is that the way it works? So that every 4 years that we say we are going to democracy. Look, after the 2023 elections, go and check how many elections ended up in the courts. The Nigerian judiciary, more or less, determines the outcome of over 50% of all electoral contests in this country. Is that the idea of democracy? People might say that it is that going to court is part of the electoral process, but there is something fundamentally wrong in a situation where
there's no confidence in the polls.
3 people or 5 judges of the Supreme Court, who none of them cast a ballot in an election, for instance, in the governorship election, but they will sit down to determine that this person is the man who won election. The best thing to do in the circumstance is that if there is a doubt, to say, okay, go back to the polls so that the people will decide who they want to superintend over the affairs of the state. But that's not what we see. What we see is democracy by the judiciary. It doesn't make sense. So the level of impunity that we are witnessing, the bottom line is that the politicians don't care a hoot about what you are doing, what you are going through, and I don't know why Nigerians are so docile. They are not reacting. In any other place, in any other country, people have to take their destiny in their own hands and say enough is enough. If we are part of this process called democracy, and if we are going to be in power because of our votes, don't forget what this is all about is that a people have sacrificed or relinquished their power to a people and say, do this on our behalf. If those people are not doing what they're supposed to do, this is the only country where a political party does so abysmally in office. A governor does so abysmally in office. A president does so abysmally in office. Then in the next election, the same people purportedly re-elect that political party. Look, in any other country where APC did as badly as it did in the 8 years it was in power under Buhari, in fact, we should take APC the next 20 years to ever come back to power.
I mean, Rotimi Amaechi once said, you know, the people are docile because they're too poor to organize. That's why they don't react to these things. But yes. I guess we'll just leave it there.
On the flip side, I think it is that poverty, because they know who is the cause of that poverty. In an ideal situation, that poverty should trigger them to do something about their fate. Otherwise, they will all die in silence.
All right. Anyway, it's been a very interesting review of the papers, especially looking at the Obasa review from you, your insights. And of course, thanks to our callers as well, who called in, Fumi and of course, Ichudi.